Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I haven't posted in a really long time and I'm really sorry. I've just had no motivation. We're back. I've been watching a lot of book reviews on books that I have on my shelf. There's a lot of Emily Henry, a lot of Carly Fortune I plan on reading in the next couple weeks, but I recently finished one of Emily Henry's books and I'm obsessed with it and I want to talk about it. So that's what we're here today to do, is to talk about it. I read A Funny Story, and funny story, this book is one of the few books that got me hooked immediately. A lot of times, even with movies and TV shows, it takes me a hot second to actually get into it, but not with this book. I was interested as soon as I read the first page. It was kind of crazy. When I first picked it up, I read about this much of it, didn't pick it up for a really long time, and then just blew right through it a couple days ago. So I have my notes here on my computer so I would remember to talk about the things I want to talk about. Talk about everything, anything, all of the above. And then at the end, I kind of want to talk about my fan casting opinions for Miles and Daphne. Just to start off, let's talk about the plot. Basically, I'm going to try not to do spoilers. I don't know how well it's going to work out. If you're iffy about spoilers, maybe don't watch this. Basically, the plot is two main characters. Let's talk about that. Miles and Daphne. Daphne's engaged to Peter. Miles is dating Petra. Petra and Peter are best friends, childhood best friends. Peter cheats on Daphne with Petra. Daphne and Miles are now single. Daphne moves in with Miles because where else is she gonna go? So Daphne moves in with Miles. They don't talk, they have nothing in common. Daphne is very by the book, very organized. You know, she just likes things the way that she likes things. Miles is very outgoing, very adventurous, very just go with the flow. So they really have nothing in common. About 2-3 weeks after all of this happened, they get a little bit of news and I feel like it bonded them. Obviously, that's like the whole point. And their relationship, friendship starts. I would say the tropes for this book: fake dating, roommates, friends to lovers. That's really it. Daphne hates where she lives. She does not want to live there anymore. She wants to leave because she just has so many bad memories there with Peter. Miles is trying to convince her to stay, so he takes her to all his favorite spots around town, around wherever, for the summer. He's kind of breaking her out of her shell and kind of taking her out of her comfort zone, and it does her a lot of justice, I would say. Daphne's a librarian. Miles he works at a winery. I think that fits the personality. I feel like he's very, I don't want to say he's flirty, but he's good with people, and that's something that Daphne constantly brings up with him. In fact, one of my favorite quotes is Daphne saying that to Miles. I just think, I say to Miles, you like people almost as much as they like you, and it makes being around you feel like standing in sunlight. His mouth softens. Briefly, he studies the space between our feet. You feel like sunlight too. He's just a very sunshiny person, and I love that about him. But yeah, that's really the plot, honestly. Like, he's just trying to convince her to stay, and he does that the whole summer. Basically, I would just say that like they both learn things about themselves while learning about each other, because like I said, they know nothing about each other when she first moves in, but over the summer, like, they learn things about each other and they learn things about themselves. Yeah, like, I just don't think that they talk about very often, and so like when those moments hit, I was invested in those deep moments and their deep conversations that they would have. Their banter is perfect. That is something that's so important to me when it comes to books, movies, TV shows, whatever. If the banter, sarcasm isn't good, I probably won't like it. I'm a very sarcastic person, and let me tell you, Miles and Daphne's banter was perfect. They knew the boundaries within their sarcasm, and I think that that's so important, and they nailed it. Okay, let's talk about Daphne and then we'll talk about Miles. Daphne is such a well-written character. I'm obsessed with her. I am Daphne, I would like to think. I aspire to be like Daphne, I should say. She's a librarian. She, like I said, she's very organized, she's very well-spoken, very confident. I would say she communicates very well. She has no problem. Well, I don't know. I feel like sometimes she has a problem saying how she feels and sometimes she doesn't. I think it just depends on how deep the conversation really is. Her quotes are genuinely perfect. Let me read you some. She says, "A surprise, it turns out, is different when it comes from someone who knows and loves you." Very sweet, very simple. This next quote I'm about to read you, I don't know, it hit close to home. She says, "Like every time I dole out a kernel of my history to someone who's not going to become a fixture in my life, a piece of me gets carried away. Somewhere I can never get it back. You can't untell someone your secrets. You can't unsay those delicate truths. Once you learn, you can't trust the person you handed them to." And I think that's very true. I did agree with that. But there's a lot. There's like 1,000 million quotes in this book that she says I've underlined and I have taken pictures of, sent to my friends, whatever. I'm obsessed. I love Daphne. I really do. I think more people should talk about her. I don't see a lot of people talking about her, and I think that needs to change. Now to talk about Miles. Miles works at a winery. He, like I said in the beginning, is flirty, but like he's just nice. He's charming. He's very nice to everybody. He makes friends basically everywhere he goes, which is kind of like the quote I read you that Daphne was saying to him. He's very thoughtful. He's very, very thoughtful and will take note of anything. So like, for example, Miles and Daphne were hungover and he came back in the morning with, I think it was a breakfast burrito for her and also a coffee, and she told him like, oh, like I try not to drink coffee sometimes in the morning because it makes me jittery, and he took that to note and got her what she liked, which is a chai. So he's very thoughtful, takes things to note. I don't know, he's just very thoughtful, and I think that that's very important. He's one of my favorite male leads in books, I would say. The ending, let's talk about the ending of the book, and then we'll talk about fan casting because I'm running out of things to talk about, if I'm being honest. Okay, so at the beginning of the book, Daphne is talking about how she can never tell people Peter and her like relationship story because she just doesn't feel like she'll do it justice. She doesn't feel confident enough, so she always lets him do it. Fast forward, Daphne and Miles are now together and they're having a little get together, and people don't know how they got together, how Miles and Daphne got together. So Miles responds with, funny story, he says, but he doesn't go on. He just watches me and waits. He knows how much I love to tell it. She went from not being able to talk about her relationship with Peter to then growing, getting over Peter, finding herself, finding what she wants to do, being with Miles, and now she can tell the story of how Miles and her got together. No problem, because she loves to tell it. People find it cringy that Miles was like, funny story, because that's what the book is called. I don't know. I love when that happens. I don't know. Sue me. I don't know. I think it ties it together very nicely. I think Daphne being able to tell her love story with Miles is very telling, obviously. I don't know. It was a nice end to the book. It was a nice little bow. I loved it. I'm really mad I'll never be able to read this for the first time again. It honestly breaks my heart. Yeah, in a very broad way, those are my opinions on the book. You know, I could talk about it for hours. I really could. But I think we should talk about the fan casting now. Okay, for Daphne, Lily Collins, I think would be perfect. I love Lily Collins. I also think there's this girl that my sister pointed out for her. Her name is Ella Purnell. I hope I'm saying that right. She would also be really good for Daphne, I feel like. Realistically, anybody could be good for Daphne. Miles, Joe Keery. Joe Keery 10,000%. Joe Keery 10,000%. I love Joe Keery. I don't care. I think he'd be perfect. However, Dylan O'Brien or Logan Lerman would also be really good. I could see them both at it. Those are my fan cast options. Nothing like too crazy. That's why I put it at the end. I rated this 5 stars on Goodreads and Fable. I'm trying to decide which one I like. I think I like Fable more. I haven't decided, but I rated it 5 stars. So yeah, now that I've talked your ear off about this book, let's talk about the book I'm reading right now, Every Summer After. The series is coming out June 10th, and so I thought it would be a really good opportunity to read it and then reread One Golden Summer, because I read One Golden Summer last year and I loved it. That is my second favorite book. This might beat One Golden Summer, I don't know. Yeah, I'm really excited about the series because I love the guy who's playing Sam. I started this book a couple days ago and really only got to chapter 3 and then just didn't really pick it up again. So last night I made a playlist on Spotify, which is what I do for every book that I read. I made a playlist on Spotify and I started reading, and I read this much in about 3 hours, which isn't a lot, but I, you know, went up to go make dinner and I will probably finish it today. I'm obsessed with it. Sam and Percy, you have my heart. Charlie obviously already had my heart because of One Golden Summer. So the way that Carly Fortune can write her characters will never cease to amaze me. Same with Emily Henry. They're both my favorite. I don't know. I'm not done with the book, obviously, so I'm not gonna go too deep into the plot, obviously, because I don't know how it's gonna end. Well, I know how it's gonna end, but basically it's friends to lovers. It's friends to lovers, lovers to enemies, enemies to lovers again. But they're not really enemies. Like, they just had a falling out, kind of like the people we had a vacation. And the book goes back and forth between now's perspective to when they were teenagers and kids and stuff. In the now times, Sam and Charlie's mother passed away, and so Percy had to come back to Barry's Bay for the funeral, and she hasn't been back in like a decade. Hasn't seen Sam in a decade, so that was a whole reunion. I'm curious to reread One Golden Summer, knowing with what I know about Sam and Percy. I don't know, I'm excited though. Anyway, yeah, that's really it. I don't really have anything else to talk about. Expect an Every Summer After video though very, very soon. Probably next week is when I'll film it. Yeah, this was really fun. I think I'm gonna continue doing this. I like doing videos like this. I think they're fun to do, but I need to go make lunch. I'm really hungry and I want to continue reading. So thanks for listening to me yap on about the books I've been reading. Okay, I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. I love you. Bye.